Greenland isn't just ice. It's power, security, and global influence. And on this issue, Trump is not standing alone. In 2026, Greenland has become one of the most strategic locations on Earth. From Arctic military access to energy routes and global defense, the island sits at the center of rising great power competition. Today we're breaking down the top 5 countries supporting Trump on the Greenland issue based on security alignment, Arctic policy, NATO cooperation, and shared strategic interests. Stay until the end. Country number 1 is America's closest partner on Arctic defense. Number 5, Poland. Why would Poland support Trump on the Greenland issue? Poland has emerged as one of the most dependable supporters of United States security priorities in Europe. In 2026, Poland's backing of Trump's stance on Greenland is driven by a clear belief. Arctic security directly affects European and NATO survival. For Warsaw, Greenland is not a distant island. It is a key link in the Western defense chain. How does Poland's geography shape its thinking? Situated on NATO's eastern flank, Poland lives with constant awareness of regional threats. This geographic reality makes Polish defense policy intensely focused on deterrence and early warning. Poland views Greenland's radar systems, airspace control, and missile detection capabilities as part of the same protective network that guards Central and Eastern Europe. What happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. Why does Poland favor Trump's security-first worldview? Polish leaders largely welcome Trump's insistence that security must come before political comfort. Trump's emphasis on strong borders, forward military presence, and strategic clarity resonated in Warsaw. Supporting Trump on Greenland aligns with Poland's belief that strategic locations must be defended decisively, not debated endlessly. Strength is seen as stability. How does NATO dependence reinforce Poland's position? Poland depends heavily on NATO and especially the United States for its national defense. With American troops, missile defense systems, and rotating forces stationed in Poland, Warsaw understands the value of United States-controlled strategic asset. Greenland's role in missile tracking, space monitoring, and Arctic surveillance fits directly into this NATO defense architecture. Greenland protects the alliance, not just territory. Why does Poland quietly support increased United States Arctic presence? Unlike some Western European nations that emphasize diplomacy over deterrence, Poland prioritizes readiness. It views increased United States activity in Greenland as a stabilizing force that limits rival powers' influence in the Arctic. Support reflects Poland's preference for results over rhetoric. Deterrence works best when it's firm and clear. How do United States-Poland ties deepen alignment? Poland has invested heavily in strengthening its partnership with the United States through defense purchases, joint exercises, and long-term cooperation agreement. Supporting Trump on the Greenland issue reinforces this partnership and signals Poland's commitment to shared security priorities beyond its own borders. Alignment builds long-term trust. What does this mean in a global context? In 2026, Poland's support for Trump on Greenland reflects a broader strategic calculation. A strong United States presence in key global choke points keeps Europe safe. For Poland, Arctic defense is not optional. It is essential to maintaining stability across the entire transatlantic alliance. Poland backs Trump on Greenland because Arctic strength strengthens NATO as a whole. Number 4, United Kingdom. Why would the United Kingdom support Trump on the Greenland issue? United Kingdom has long shared a deep strategic and military bond with the United States, often referred to as the special relationship. In 2026, British support for Trump's position on Greenland is rooted in hard security logic rather than political theatrics. London views Greenland as a critical pillar of transatlantic and Arctic defense, not just a diplomatic talking point. How does Arctic security factor into British strategy? The United Kingdom may not border the Arctic, but it is deeply invested in Arctic stability. British naval forces regularly operate in northern waters, monitoring Russian submarine movement and protecting North Atlantic sea lanes. Greenland's location makes it essential for early warning systems, anti-submarine warfare, and airspace monitoring, all of which directly affect British and NATO security. For the United Kingdom, Arctic defense starts far north. Why does the United Kingdom align with Trump's security-first approach? British defense planners largely agreed with Trump's emphasis on military readiness and deterrent. While diplomatic language may differ, London shares the belief that strategic locations must be firmly protected to prevent rival powers from gaining influence. Greenland fits perfectly into this framework as a forward defense asset. Quiet agreement matters more than loud debate. How does NATO shape British support? As a leading NATO member, the United Kingdom prioritizes alliance-wide defense cohesion. Greenland plays a vital role in NATO's northern defense architecture, supporting radar coverage, missile tracking, and transatlantic reinforcement route. Supporting Trump's focus on Greenland aligns with Britain's goal of keeping NATO strong and unified. Greenland strengthens NATO's northern shield. Why is the special relationship still decisive? The United Kingdom works more closely with the United States than with any other military partner. Intelligence sharing, joint operations, and integrated planning mean that British and American defense interests often overlap. Backing Trump on Greenland reinforces this relationship and ensures continued cooperation in high-priority regions like the Arctic. Alignment protects influence and access. Why does Britain support increased United States presence in Greenland? British officials see increased United States engagement in Greenland as a stabilizing force that deters adversaries and reduces uncertainty in the Arctic. Rather than viewing it as escalation, London sees it as preventive security that benefits all NATO members. Presence prevents CONF. What does this mean in a global context? In 2026, the United Kingdom's support for Trump on the Greenland issue reflects a broader strategic reality. Arctic control is becoming central to global power competition by backing a strong United States role in Greenland. Britain helps secure the North Atlantic, protect NATO supply routes, and maintain balance against rival powers. The United Kingdom backs Trump on Greenland because Arctic security protects the entire alliance. Number 3, Norway. Why would Norway support Trump on the Greenland issue? Norway is one of NATO's most strategically exposed Arctic nation. In 2026, Norway supports Trump's position on Greenland because it views the Arctic as a frontline security zone, not a distant geopolitical debate. For Oslo, Greenland's defense directly affects Norway's own safety in the high, nor how does geography make Norway's stance unavoidable. Norway shares close proximity to key Arctic routes and operates near regions where rival military activity has increased. This makes early warning, airspace monitoring, and maritime surveillance essential. Greenland's radar coverage and strategic locations strengthen the entire Arctic defense network that Norway relies on. For Norway, Arctic security is personal. Why does Norway favor a strong United States role in the AR? Norway has consistently welcomed United States military cooperation, including joint exercises, rotational deployments, and shared intelligence. Trump's emphasis on maintaining firm United States control over strategic Arctic assets align with Norway's belief that deterrence prevents escalation. Strength keeps the peace in the high north. How does NATO influence Norway's support? As a founding NATO member, Norway prioritizes alliance readiness and cohesion. Greenland plays a key role in NATO's northern defense posture, supporting missile detection, air defense, and transatlantic reinforcement routes. Supporting Trump's Greenland focus reinforces NATO's ability to respond quickly to threats across the Arctic. Greenland is a shield for the alliance. Why does Norway quietly agree rather than loudly endorse? Norway tends to avoid dramatic public statements favoring pragmatic defense policy over political messages. While it may not echo Trump's rhetoric, Norway's actions, training, coordination, and strategic planning reflect strong alignment with the underlying security logic behind Trump's position on Greenland. Action speaks louder than statements. How does Arctic cooperation benefit Norway directly? A strong United States presence in Greenland improves situational awareness across the Arctic, reduces response times, and strengthens deterrence against rival military expansion. For Norway, this means safer borders, protected sea lanes, and reduced pressure along its northern territory. Greenland strengthens Norway's defensive depth. What does this mean in a global context? In 2026, Norway's support for Trump on the Greenland issue reflects a broader Arctic reality. Control and security in the high north are becoming central to global stability. By backing a strong United States role in Greenland, Norway helps secure NATO's northern flank and maintain balance in an increasingly competitive region. Norway supports Trump on Greenland because Arctic stability depends on decisive defense. Number 2, France. France isn't a claimant to Greenland, but it symbolically supported the territory's autonomy. President Emmanuel Macron visited Greenland to show solidarity. Paris emphasized respect for territorial integrity. France is a key Arctic Council voice. Macron sought to balance NATO cooperation with principles of sovereignty. French statements critiqued US rhetoric as destabilizing. Paris offered cooperation on Arctic security with Denmark. France highlighted climate and economic interests in Greenland. Macron's approach was diplomatic, not confrontational. France helped coordinate European responses to US pressure. Paris insisted on international norms for territorial issues. France is wary of unilateral strategies in geopolitically sensitive regions. The Macron visit drew media attention worldwide. France also has strategic interests in the Arctic via research. Overall, France didn't support Trump's claims, but reinforced the importance of multilateral relations. Number 1. Russia. Russia officially watched tensions closely. Moscow didn't support the US claim. Instead, Russian media framed the controversy as a challenge to Western unity. Analysts pointed out parallels with Russia's Arctic interests. Russian officials suggested Western divisions could benefit Moscow. Russia wants influence in the Arctic. Moscow's stance highlighted geopolitical competition. Moscow expressed skepticism, not support, regarding the Trump position. Russia has military bases and economic stakes in the far north. Russian Arctic strategy overlaps with climate change trends. Russia is a permanent member of the Arctic Council. Russia called for respect for sovereign nations. Russian commentary served internal strategic narratives. Moscow saw value in division among NATO allies. Russia's overall reaction was opportunistic, not allied support. So there you have it, not 5 countries that support Trump, but 5 countries whose responses help us understand the global impact of Trump's Greenland diplomacy. From firm rejection to cautious engagement and strategic commentary, these reactions tell a real story about how the modern world views sovereignty, alliance, and Arctic geopolitics.